Well, welcome everyone to another episode in the IPA International Polka Association Interview Series. My name is Rich Zebrowski, and I am so excited to be here today with the one and only Andy Fenus. Andy Fenus of the Fabulous Trombones Orchestra from Pittsburgh, PA. Welcome, Andy. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Thank you for having me, and it's really an honor to do this interview.
Oh, well, thank you for that as well. You know, one of the things that I've discovered over the years in being a musician and also just being a polka fan is that a lot of times people don't get to really meet and understand the musicians and the band leaders that have been doing this for so long. So the IPA, what a wonderful thing they've done is put this together. I've done some video conferencing, done some live videos, and of course this phone conference that we're doing to help introduce you to some of the folks out there who haven't had a chance to talk to you. So once again, thank you to them, and thank you for spending the time with us today to do that, Andy. So
no problem at all.
Oh, great.
Like I said.
All right, good. Well, you know what? I'm just going to throw some questions out to you, some that I know people are interested in hearing about you and other musicians. And if there's anything you want to add to it as we're going along, just please, go right ahead and do it. So I guess we'll start out with the first question. So, a lot of musicians come from different backgrounds. Some of them are the only one in their families who have taken an interest in it, and some of them just have been born and raised into it. So in your case, we know that, you're a drummer, and this is kind of a loaded question. Is there anyone else in your family that plays an instrument?
Well, my brother Steve, who does sax, clarinet, trumpet, and also does vocals and writes all our music for us. And just myself learning to play pots and pans, and where my mom and dad got fed up with me bending the pots when I turn them over and actually play with spoons against the pots. They said, "Hey, we're going to get a drum for him," and that's how it all started. But nobody in the immediate family, other than me and my brother, play.
Well, Well, you and your brother. That's. You say that as if that's not much, but obviously that's been a huge thing in polka music for so many years. I'm curious. You say you started on the pots and pans, and what were you listening to at that time? Different types of music. So why did you pursue polka music as opposed to other styles and other genres of music?
Well, really, how that really started out was we got a group together, a bunch of guys, to play weddings only. And when we started with the polka music at weddings, because you had to do nationality music at weddings, all types of nationality music, then we continued. We said, well, we can't just play polka music at weddings. We got to play all types of music. But we lean more to polka music. And then when people would go out, when we'd be at weddings to perform, these people would see us, and then they'd be talking, well, where are you playing next so we can come to see you? Or when you're playing weddings, you're only stuck and those people can't come to see you. So that's why we started to get into polka music more. And then once we got into that polka music, we were able to play, knots where we were playing. And we actually got a lot of people from the weddings to come out to the dances. And that's one of the questions that I have lined up later on. One of the answers I have lined up for later is getting the people from the weddings to come out to polka music. And it's unbelievable. They really did. And that's how I started playing polka music more. And then one guy that really actually influenced me more than anything was Little Wally. He had nice harmonies, and that's what my brother and myself always loved, was listening to harmonies. When he'd sing his harmonies, or when the band would play with the trumpet, clarinet, and all that. That's how we got started in polka music.
So polka music gave you an opportunity to allow people to come and see you in public. From you were playing the private functions, and this was a way for you to get out there and let your fans start following you around, basically.
Absolutely, and that's what it really did help out, because I can, the places I played now at weddings, they'd ask the next time, hey, when you guys playing at somewhere we can go out and see you again? And that's what happened.
That's interesting.
Yep, that's how it happened.
Well, what year was that? When did you actually start your band?
Well, we actually started, we were in junior high school, 1955.
1955.
And, yep, and at 66 years, including this year in music, we haven't retired yet, but, you know, it's getting to the point now with what we're having the problems in this country with. It's getting to that point, but we're 66 years in this music business.
Wow, and has the band always been known as the Trelltones?
Oh, yes, yes.
Wow.
Well, you know, wait, I take that back. We did have a little group that was only maybe for a couple months, but you got to get guys that want to play together and not go out there, and you have to have a leader, too. And
sure,
we had a group before that, and it was called the Twinights, but then the rest of the guys didn't want to seem like they wanted to work together, so my brother and myself said we're going to just go out there and find guys that will play, and we did. And that's the history from that. Started from there.
Yeah. Do you remember the names of the original Trelltone members?
I do. I do have that with the original guys, and of course my brother Steve, who's been with me for how many years. I had a young man named Jim Kushner. He was from West Mifflin. He played trumpet. And there was a Tom Stapula, played accordion out of Baldwin, Brentwood area. And Bill Garland, who played bass and lead guitar for us. He's from West Mifflin. And me on drums. And also my sister Shirley did vocals with us. And then after that, to get into polka music, you know, starting more into the polka sound, then that's how we picked up Jim Maui Weber, and we met him and Gary Weber's brother. And then Al Mervis, our lead guitar player, has been with us for the longest time after my brother and that. You also played with us, Rich, for how many years?
A long time as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I have to go down the names of these guys because it's just more than, you know, 5 guys that can make up, or 6 guys that can make up a group, because things change in life, you know. And then, of course, you know, Emil Pahodich played accordion for us and keyboard at weddings, and then he played polka music. Joe Storlars, trumpet player, also bass, and Robin Pegg, we can't forget Robin. He's up in Buffalo, New York now. Al Volek. Then there's Pat Pylan, who played accordion with us and recorded our first couple albums. Dave Barney Barnes, who played bass guitar and lead guitar for us. And he went on to play with a rock band after that. And that's when we picked up Elm Irvis. And then Dave Morris from Baldwin, PA.
Right, so, right. Hey, there's one guy that kind of learned on the job, and if you neglected to mention him, I know he'd be heartbroken. is your other concertina player you've had for the last 20 years?
Oh, yes. You know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's been with us for 25 years. Mr. Paul Hertzko from Uniontown.
Exactly.
He's one of the guys that really stuck by me for how many years, and you know, and then Chris Bobbin also. He played for me for how many years off and on, and great musician. Local guys. That's another thing. Local guys mean a lot. To get them to play, and so that's how the main majority of the group was that last group of names I said right there. It's been playing for this long.
Well, you know, Andy, you went through a list, and somebody that just might be joining us right now would be listening to that, but we have to keep in mind that, the band has been together for 66 years. And,
yeah, you're right.
You have a really, what I'm going to call a low turnover rate. I think a lot of that can be attributed to the band leader. When you have guys that stick around for decades, that tells you something about, the type of band that you've been running, and, just your influence on them, as well as, the type of jobs that you pick and the style of music and all that. So that's really something, So I think I overheard this, but who did you say had played the longest with your band?
My brother Steve. He played the longest with my band. We both started out. He and myself started out in our cellar, our home, and that's how we practiced. And one thing, and it comes up on another question in the future, is for any musicians, you got to go out and get your own guys. You got to find them sometimes. Guys that are either playing for another band that broke up, or guys that are learning to play music, like accordion. You go to accordion studio. You go trumpet. You go to look at the high school marching bands, things like that. That's how we found all our guys in our band. Yeah, and then after a while, Rich, yourself, after a while you get to know other people, and if and they want to play for you, they'll come out and do it and work for you.
Right, right. Obviously, with 65, 66 years of playing out in public, plus the numerous recordings that you've done, I know this is always a difficult question for some people, but do you have like some favorite tunes that you just feel if you go out and play, the night's not complete unless you played those songs, or favorite recordings, you'd listen back to those and say, that was really something that captured exactly the way I was feeling. Do you have any favorite tunes?
Yes. Well, our first recording, Kathleen, My Sweetheart, we just loved that song. It was written by my brother Steve. He wrote it, arranged it, and got the words for it on there. I wasn't involved on that one. But then another one I really liked was Lovesick Polka. That was a big one that we did, and I loved to do that. And I'll tell you one that was an old country and western, because we love to do, is the Wedding Bells Polka. Because Wedding Bells had beautiful harmony in, and we love to do that. My brother Steve on the vocals with myself on the harmony. And one big one that really, really went big for us all the time is the Bridal Dance Polka. And that is something that worked, and when we recorded it, it worked, and we recorded it. We added a 35-minute addition to this on the CD and album itself so that DJs can go out there and use it. Until today, we know that DJs call us up, and they want the bridal dance recording for weddings.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I've been to a number of weddings, not only in Pennsylvania, but in other states as well, and they had a DJ, and all of a sudden, for the bridal dance, here comes the Trelltones and that looped version that you have. You said it's 35 minutes long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that really works great for a wedding. Especially when those bridal dances are real long, and then the DJs can just drop it down if they're done with the song. But basically, that's why we added that on the album itself, that extra recording.
And that's something that you still have available, I would imagine.
Oh, yes. That's on a CD, and we're looking to get back into maybe putting that back on a vinyl, because now the vinyl's coming back again. We're looking to maybe do that back on vinyl again. So that would be something great to do, get that back on vinyl.
So you had mentioned some of those songs on your early recordings. So what was your first recording you did? Was it a full length 33 1/3 recording, or 45, or
it was
what was
45, and that was Kathleen, My Sweetheart, and Lovesick Polka. And it was recorded, would you believe this? It was recorded at a studio in the Strip District of Pittsburgh. It's no longer there, but the sign's still on the building. I still see it when I'm out driving and I go past that. And that was a little studio, but they did a lot of the local recording groups too, Skyliners, and they all recorded in that studio for a while.
Do you know offhand how many recordings do you have with the Trelltones?
Oh, that's one got me on.
Yeah, quite a few.
I don't know how many recordings, but there's quite a few. I think we have about 6, 7 albums out, and it might be even more than that. I'm not even sure. And that's when you caught me. I didn't.
No, that's all right.
Think about it.
And then I know that there's some other recordings other than polka music. So you've got quite a few that you've been in the studio and have done.
I can think of Sweet Mariana. That song went really great for us. It's an old Croatian Serbian number, and we did the vocals to that. And Even at a polka dance, they always ask for that. Still ask for
the Steelers fight song. That was another one that was huge for the band. Yeah.
We recorded that. See, that's the one that you got that I forgot about.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, that's interesting. We're talking about the different styles of music, that you play within polkas and then outside of polkas. What other things do you think sets your band apart? Every band has something about them that draws people to listen to them. What do you think it is about your band that sets you apart from other polka bands?
There's no doubt in my mind it was the honky style old music. I mean, you got great guys, great bands in this country right now that do push with the accordion and everything like that. Old style, when we would play the old honky style stuff, at like Little Wally and Wanda and Stephanie, for instance, played. And Eddie B. Sr., when he'd go on the drums and play the old honky style, that is the kind of music that really we always loved to play, and that's why we stayed with it. And it did us fine for how many years?
And how many years is still going? Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
You mentioned a couple of musicians. You started out, first thing you said, Little Wally, and, I heard you say Juan and Stephanie, of course, Eddie Blazonczyk Sr. on drums. Who, if you were forced to put a list together of people that inspired you in polka music, and put your hand to the fire on that one, who would you list? Obviously Little Wally, Juan and Stephanie.
Wally's
Eddie
the first. Eddie Blazonczyk Sr., boy, when he sang, it was really tough. They were tough together with Chet and the harmonies. That's what we always liked, the harmonies, singing harmonies together. Marion Lush, smooth voice. We loved him. Yeah. And the great, great, great ample airs with Dr. Wally Gorva and Andy Day. And then there's Wanda and Stephanie, too, doing that honky-style music. And, there's just so many great groups out there. I mean, you can be sitting, I could be writing or listening to groups forever, but that's the groups that got us listening to polka music, especially, again, Little Wally. When I first saw him come to the Jacktown Hotel in Pittsburgh, out there in Jeanette area, Jeanette, Pennsylvania, boy, I tell you what, that was really great. When you can go to a polka dance on a Monday night in Pennsylvania and have a sellout crowd, and that's really something. So that's the kind of music that really inspired me. Little Wally, he was a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we know that you're inspired, and their style of music is reflected in a lot of things you've done. But, who was your hero growing up, your polka hero? Let's just limit this to polka music. Who was your polka hero? Even before you started really getting into heavy polka music playing, was there one guy that just kind of, or one, could be a woman. I mean, there was, back in the days even, there were a lot of successful women that were entertaining in polka music as well. So, who was did you have a polka hero growing up? Let's put it that way.
Well, the only polka hero would be Little Wally. But I did get a chance years ago. A lot of these people don't remember when Kennywood Park in Pittsburgh had the Starview Plaza stage. They brought in Walter Solik. I saw him. I thought he was tremendous when he came out, and the people out there, the Clown Prince of Polkas, they called him. He dressed as a clown, came out there and sang some songs. It was just tremendous. And that's another time I remember that sticks out in my mind real good. So I would say Solik when I first saw polka music, and then Wally when I first heard him on his JJ album. And that's the guys right there. Those two guys probably. Wally probably more than anything, but Solik, as I remember him coming to Kennywood Park.
Right. Well, you mentioned Kennywood Park, and obviously that's a big memory for a lot of people in Western Pennsylvania. Back when they used to have polkas up there with regularity, and not only going to watch and listen to these bands, but having played there with the Trolltones a number of times. The question is, what were your favorite places to play? Not only to go and watch other musicians, but where where did you enjoy playing? You know, there's got to be a couple of, in my mind, I already know what some of these answers are going to be. But, you know, what were some of your favorite places to play?
One of my favorites out of town has to be the Polonia Grove in Chicago, out of town. Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, the old Civic Arena, we ended up going down. There was close to 10,000 people there. Little Wally brought in his yellow sound with the violins and everything, and we played on that stage with Wally, and there was a couple other local bands there. That was a big place great in my mind. But everybody got to remember Theodore's Grove in Mount Pleasant.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
where polka music in Western Pennsylvania was born. Theodore's Grove. Then I played Westview Park Ballroom. It was beautiful for sound and everything like that. And then, as we said, Kennywood Park Starview Plaza stage. We had a chance to play there, and we did. And then I ended up getting to know a lot of the people at Kennywood Park, because I only lived 2 blocks from Kennywood. We ended up getting Wally in there and Marion Lush and a couple other.
You helped them arrange getting the other bands in there.
Getting the bands in there, absolutely, to keep polka music.
See, that love of polka music, it doesn't end when you walk off the stage. You know, that's
You're
amazing
absolutely
thing.
right.
You know, you were mentioning all your favorite places to play, and a lot of those you listed were local to Western Pennsylvania and stuff. And I don't want anybody who's listening to this and maybe doesn't know the full history of Trolltones to think that most of your career was just spent in Western Pennsylvania. I mean, you traveled the entire country or in the polka circuit out of state. You know, and did, you know, some of the places maybe that come to mind out of state that you really enjoyed playing at?
Hillside Party Center in Cleveland. One of the best. Jimmy and Franny up there were just so wonderful. The late Benny and Connie Duhall used to bring us into Michigan all the time up there to play at Grove up that area. We even played for up in Canada one time, and right outside of the falls. We played up there for a dance, and it was a big dance up there. Eddie Gutza brought us up there, and we played a dance with him up there. So that's another place, and I'm trying to think. You know,
New London, Connecticut. I know that you actually have
New London, right? I forgot
a live
about
recording
that
from there.
Yeah.
That place, you know, you would really
Absolutely.
see well. Buffalo, New York, obviously, you'd go up there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in Cleveland, I can't remember the hall on Brook Park Road.
Brook State Inn.
Brook State Inn, there you go. See,
yeah. I was going to say, you know, I've listened to other interviews in the IPA Interview Series, and any of the musicians that were from the tri-state area or even, you know, out into, you know, past Toledo, you know, Chicago, everyone knows Brook State Inn. You know, and
Absolutely.
I have yet to meet somebody that has anything negative to say about that place when it was going. So I could see why that would be a place that you would have fond memories of playing. And you know, so.
Yeah, that was a tremendous place to play. You always had great crowds coming up there, and it was always packed. And the one thing about the place, even if there was another big dance going on. And I know there were a couple times we were up there, and there were other big dances. When I'm saying big dances, with out-of-town bands playing. After the dance was over, everybody come down Brook State Inn, you know, right after that, because they'd go till 2 o'clock in the morning, and most dances would be
10 to 2.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. They were really great.
Well,
really
I could. Yeah, those were the days for those places. You know,
absolutely.
You have, you know, we all have memories of our favorite places to play in. And one of the things that always comes to mind when people are talking about different bands going around and different things is like, what is your most memorable or the strangest or the wackiest, whatever word you want to put on it, of memory that you have playing somewhere, you know?
I'm glad you brought this up. This is not only involves us, but it involves the new brass also. Mitch Biscoop and those guys, when just to know that group there, they were just just tremendous musicians, and they were nuts as crazy. They liked to party and everything. I don't remember the ballroom. It was out in eastern Pennsylvania. But we went and we were playing outside. The brass were inside playing in the ballroom. They came outside and they brought shaving cream. And they shaving cream all our guys, including myself. We're playing there and they're going up and down the guitars and up and down the accordion and across my drums. So we said, well, we won't forget that. So when we were all done, we packed up. We got sent a young man out to get some shaving cream for ourselves. So we walked into this ballroom, and little did we know, the ballroom floor was just refinished that week for dancing. The stage was all refinished. Here we go up on stage, and we do the same thing to the brass. There is shaving cream all over the place. Guys are falling down and slipping on the stage. Then Mitch, I don't know how he did it, he picked me up and grabbed me and pulled me outside and threw me into the swimming pool outside the hall.
That would be hard to forget, wouldn't it?
Well, what the hard part is to forget is us and the new brass were banned from that hall for the rest of our lives. We weren't allowed to play there.
Oh, well, then I was going to see if we could remember the name of the hall together, but I don't think I want to do that now.
I don't remember the hall. I don't remember the ballroom. I can't think of it right offhand, but it's right outside Philly. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. But, I didn't know that the stage and the ballroom floor was just redone that week. He said, that's it? You guys are not allowed. You're banned from playing in this hall anymore. We didn't start it, so I felt good about that.
And yet the band has still managed to survive 66 years. So
exactly. I think. And that's the same thing with the brass. How long they were together too. Tremendous, great
band, great impact on polka music. Yeah.
No, yes.
Well, Andy, obviously, if we started reminiscing and you started telling all the stories of different things that happened throughout your career, that they don't use tape anymore, but Chris would run out of tape on this.
Absolutely.
But what do you think, if you look back at your proudest moment and your greatest achievement in polka music, what would you have to say that was?
I think the greatest achievement that I waited for so many years was actually getting inducted into the IPA Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
I never thought it would come being a living person, because there are, and you know how we always talked about that, so many great musicians as well as DJs that deserve to get into the Hall of Fame. But when they called me and they told me that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I just was I cried. I remember I was just doing a little extra work on the side, driving the truck for a good friend of mine, just part-time fooling around in that. And when they called me, my wife called me up and said, hey, you got to call them up. They want you to call them about this. And boy, that getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, they called me and told me I just cried right there on the spot. Because that was something I really wanted, and also working for these great polka promoters, from the Western Pennsylvania area, and also all the people in Western Pennsylvania, all over the country, in fact. But the greatest was the induction.
Well, obviously, how I feel about that, so well deserved that you're in there. But the funny thing about that is when you were inducted and talking to people, I was amazed the number of people who thought you already were in the Hall of Fame. So I think
yes.
The timing of it, it may have I don't know the explanation for that, but I'm sure a lot of people just thought you were already an IPA Hall of Famer. Obviously your career, your career certainly merited it, and everyone just assumed that you were. So I am, I congratulate you on that as well. So that's a wonderful thing that happened for you, and it really, I'm glad that it meant that to you as well. So that's so.
Yeah, and I always I just want to touch on something with my brother.
Sure.
He never got into the Hall of Fame, but he's in the running to get in for the Writers Hall of Fame for writing polka music, and his application's in right now to get into there for the writing of music and arranging it. So I'm happy for him.
On that. Absolutely, yeah.
Happy for him.
Well deserved. I know that he has done a lot of the songwriting and arrangements for the Trelltones throughout the year. So that's
absolutely.
Good. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
I have to put that little bit in there about him.
No,
people don't know that.
Well, before this phone call is over, we hope that you can come up with some other things people don't know about you or the band or your brother. But so obviously, towards you just how many years ago was that you were inducted into the IPA Hall of Fame?
It's like about 4 or 5 now.
Oh wow!
It's years so quick.
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
quick.
That's true. So, keeping that in mind, what advice would you give any new musician starting in polka music that someday that they would hope they could earn their way into the Hall of Fame, or just in general, what advice would you give any young musician?
Oh boy, I think that first of all you have to make a commitment to what you're going to play, what type of music you're going to play, and go out there, start playing polka music. But also try to get in the other types of music that are out there, because as we get older and the people are getting older, polka music is starting to, if we don't keep it up with like people like you and the young people that are constantly keeping dances going now, it's going to fade, and we don't want that to happen. What we want to do is get in polka music, keep playing it at dances, but maybe go into playing some modern stuff, some rock music and that, like I did, and get the people to come out to see those bands also, like I announced. In other words, when you get out there to the people, when you're playing a wedding or a party or something like that, because that's what you want to do. You musicians out there, go into polka music and play that, and then announce where you're playing at a polka dance. And that's going to get more people to continue coming to the polka dances.
That's
but right now, it's just everything is rock music, and that doesn't do good for our type of music. And to the musicians out there that's starting out, do that and pick your guys that are going to stay with you too for how many years. Try to do all types of music, but push that polka music when you go out and playing, because people will come out to see you if you announce. And the more it comes out to see you, the better it's going to be for your band, the better it's going to be for polka music.
Great advice, Andy. Great advice. All right, we're getting ready to wrap this up, so I'm going to throw you a curveball here. So, we've obviously touched on the great history, just skimmed the surface is probably the better choice of words, of the Trelltones and your careers and stuff like that. But if you have anything in your heart that you want to say to your fans out there, that you haven't had a chance to say to people that have followed you throughout the years, or have the fans have impacted you in some way, is there anything you'd like to say to them?
There isn't words that you can repeat, Rich. Not enough words that you can say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And God bless all of you people that came out. And God bless all the people that passed away that came out. Great, great polka dancers. And the people out there nowadays, great, great polka dancers. And I just want to thank them for following us all those years that we've been, and still following us right now.
Right.
Still going out there and playing, and we got to see how many more years we're going to do this. It gets a little tough now, but all I want to thank all the people. That's the only word you can say. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. You've been tremendous to me and my brother and the Charltons.
Well, those simple words, but a lot of meaning and a lot of heart behind those. So, absolutely, couldn't agree with you more on how you approach music and how you approach the people that make the choices to come and listen to you. So, I think we're going to wrap this up, Andy. Unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
Not at this time. I just appreciate being selected into the IPA again and being selected to do this interview. It's an honor. When you get into the IPA, it is an honor. It gives me goosebumps every time I think of being in
well, that's
the
good.
IPA Hall of Fame.
And I hope that feeling never goes away for you, too. So
I appreciate that so much, Rich.
All right. Well, we want to thank, obviously, the IPA, International Polka Association, for having the wisdom and the foresight to put together these interview series. And I want to thank them for allowing me to be part of this. My name again, Rich Zebrowski. And Andy, we have to thank you for spending time with us today. And also, we have to thank you for the last 66 plus years and how many years in the future that you're going to be continue doing this, just for all of the happiness and joy that you've spread throughout the polka industry. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the stage, near the stage, but somewhere soon, okay?
Okay. Sounds
right,
good, Rich. Thank you, IPA. Thank you so much, Rich.
All right, Andy, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Bye now.